Welcome back. Let's get you more details on that encouraging GDP data that we got at the top of the hour. Paul's here and got all the numbers for us. Paul.
Yeah, your early morning charts, Wilf, which no day should begin without. Positive growth figures and positive news for the government. Get that. These are the figures for March. This shows monthly figures going back to the start of 2025. This is the number we're looking at. 0.3% announced today. Economist expectations, market expectations of a contraction, the economy shrinking, being in negative territory, because March was the first month of the war, the US-Israeli attacks on Iran, with all the consequent effects on energy prices in particular. It felt like it had to be negative for the economy, but it's shown some positive growth. To get into the weeds a tiny bit, there's been a little bit of a revision, as they call it, of the February number. That's come down, as has the January number when growth was flat. But it does balance out to a positive picture, one that, frankly, is totally unexpected, and one that you've already had the Minister this morning welcoming. We can look at how that affects the quarterly number. This is the figures for March, first 3 months of the year. The quarters are the economic signposts for the year. And again, positive territory. That was expected, 0.6%. But it is the enduring strength, relative strength, let's call it that, of the economy in March that really sticks out. And there's some notes in here from the ONS that are striking. They do business and workforce surveys. They talk to employers, they talk to companies about how they're feeling about their business. And they've had companies telling them they are more positive about revenue and about their growth in March than they expected, turnover growing and potential redundancies, as they call them, in decline. So they might have been expecting to be laying people off because the economy has been slowing down at the end of last year. But there's some strength there, and we of course have to see. This is month one of the war. We know the inflationary impacts are starting to be felt. Much of the economic impact is still in the post, if you like. But this is some positive news.
Definitely much better than expected for March. Obviously, partly because of the political impacts, we've been looking at borrowing costs. Bond markets aren't open yet, but everyone will be watching that at the open in half an hour's time.
Yeah, indeed. All of these numbers are looking back at how the economy's performed. We can bring one more chart. This is the 10-year gilt. This is essentially the price. This is the indicative interest rate that the government pays to borrow money. We've talked about it a lot, haven't we, with political instability being something the markets do not like. And it's worth looking at, I think, this is one just reminding us where we are, because we not only have the likelihood of a leadership challenge, but Angela Rayner entering the fray. Of course, Rayner on the left of the party, some of her policies perhaps more inclination to spend. Would that indicate? Markets would be nervous about that, given how much debt the UK already has. And you can see how we have marched up. Now, some of this is the war, some of this is energy prices. But in the last week, we have got to an 18-year high 2 days ago, when the instability around the Prime Minister started to feel like it was terminal for Sir Keir Starmer. It did dip off a little bit. Some of that was yesterday, when Wes Streeting was preparing to resign, something we're still waiting for. So the markets, while there are lots of factors in here, and they don't move as a herd, there are lots of people making decisions, there is a distaste for political instability that the UK pays for in its borrowing costs. It means the government is spending more of our revenue, our taxpayer revenue, on meeting those bills. So it'll be very interesting to see when the markets open what happens to this line and when the contenders, if there is a leadership election, when they become clearer.